If you're a college football fan, you've probably seen this picture. This is Shawn Oakman. He was widely known as one of the scariest college football players of all time. A main reason for that is because, number one, how massive he looks in this picture, and number two, I think the face mask has something to do with it. To go on top of that, if that wasn't enough for you, he was 6'9", 275 pounds, and as you can see, he was ripped. At one point in time, he was projected to be a first-round pick, and there were people saying he had potential to be the number 1 pick. But right before he was about to be drafted, 2 weeks to be exact, not just his football career, but his life, it was flipped upside down. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but he got falsely accused of something he did not do. It ruined everything for him, but that was nearly 10 years ago. The reason we're making this video is because we're going to be talking about what's he been up to since then? I do want to clarify, because I know there may be some confusion in the comment section. We have made a Shawn Oakman video before on the channel. Maybe even some of you watching this have already seen it. This is the updated version, because the other one we made, that was nearly 3 years ago. I've also had some people requesting an update, so I figured, hey, why not? We're in the off season. Let's do it. Without further ado, let's get into it. And you already know, to get into Mr. Shawn Oakman's story, we got to throw it all the way back to where things started. Shawn Oakman attended Penwood High School, where he was a 4-star recruit, and here's a fun fact for you, a lot of people don't know this. He didn't start out at Baylor. He committed and signed with Penn State. He wound up redshirting as a freshman in 2011, and in the offseason heading into 2012, he got in some trouble. He was in his dorm, it was late at night, and he was hungry, but there was a problem with that. He didn't have any more points remaining on his meal card. This is before the good old NIL days, and I will say this is why I am a fan. I know it's messy, but I am a fan of it, because if NIL was around when Oakman was at Penn State, more likely this incident, it doesn't occur. Anyways, like I was saying, he knew he didn't have any points on his card, so he was going to attempt to steal a sandwich. I'm going to give you his side of the story. Here's what he had to say word for word. I went to the Mix, a convenience store inside one of the Commons on St. Patrick's Day during the afternoon. My apologies, I said earlier it's at night, it's in the afternoon. It doesn't really matter too much. I walked in and put the hoagie in my jacket, picked up a fruit juice, went over to the cashier and attempted to pay for the juice. There were no points on my card. A lady came from the back and asked me if I was going to pay for a sandwich, and I asked her, what sandwich? Continuing along, when the cashier swiped my card, she told me I had no points left and put my ID card down on the counter. I wanted it back because our meal points were on it. When I attempted to get the card back, I grabbed the cashier's wrist and took my card from her hand. That's when she started hollering and making a scene. I got my ID card, I took the sandwich out of my jacket and the fruit juice and put it on the counter and went back to the dorms. I really didn't think anything was going to come out of it. Unfortunately for Oakman, something would come out of it. He woke up to a missed call and voicemail from guess who? His new head football coach, Bill O'Brien. He did get a misdemeanor and a fine for this incident, and Coach O'Brien kicked him off the football team. Here's the final thing Oakman had to say about the incident. Since I touched the cashier's wrist and took my card, that was the difference. That was it for me. She was a student and she got afraid, but who wouldn't be? I'm a big black guy who's 6'9", 260. I can't be mad at her because I did it. She didn't know me. I'm the biggest person on that campus and people were going to talk regardless. I was just hungry that day. I didn't have any meal points left and had no money. It's a double-edged sword, and I think two things can be true. Shawn Oakman shouldn't have touched that lady's wrist, and here's the great part about it. He's even said that. But here's the other side of it. I don't even think just based off of that incident alone, you can label him as a bad person, because he didn't even want it to get to that point. But it did. And we could sit up here and talk about that situation for the next 15 minutes. It really doesn't change anything because he got kicked off of the team. Here's the last thing I'm going to say about it. If he would have had money to eat in the first place, it wouldn't have got to a point. Period. The end. He would transfer to Baylor, and things started out great for him. In 2013, that was his first year, and he wasn't doing anything special, but I label that as the year where he was just getting his feet wet. In 11 games played, he had 33 combined tackles with 2 sacks. But 2014 was the year where he broke out. He was wreaking havoc. It got to the point where teams were having to double team him. In that entire season, he had 51 combined tackles with 11 sacks. When that 2014 season came to an end, his football career in life, it was at an all-time high. There were multiple, I'm not talking about one, but multiple articles stating that he was going to be a top 20 first-round pick. This one even said he had the potential to be the number 1 overall pick. It made total sense. Look at the guy. He was a monster. And it's not just like, oh, he looked big, he looked scary, he looked like a good football player. No. He was. Not only did he look the part, he also played the part. If I had to use one word to describe Shawn Oakman at Baylor, I'd say ferocious. In 2015, his numbers would slightly decrease, but that's also because all the hype that was surrounding him. These offenses were now game planning around him. The double teams he was receiving in 2014 quickly turned into a regular thing, and sometimes got triple teamed. Wound up having 43 tackles that year and only 4.5 sacks, but it goes back to what we just talked about. Did have 15 tackles for loss, so that's worth throwing in there. And despite his numbers did take an increase, his draft status, it was unaffected. I don't want to sit up here and say he would have been a for sure first-round pick, but I have a hard time believing he would have fell farther. I mean, the lowest he would have been drafted is with the 40th overall pick early in the second round. But 2 weeks right before the NFL draft, 2 weeks from Shawn Oakman making millions of dollars, 2 weeks before Shawn Oakman was about to achieve his long dream, he was accused of sexual assault. Oakman would officially be charged by this, and here's what he had to say when he got the phone call. I said, "Who? Me? Impossible. You have to have the wrong person." From there, it was a wrap. On April 3rd, 2016 at 8 a.m., I was charged with sexual assault, aka, you know what? To second degree. My life was officially over as I knew it. This case wound up going on for 3 years, and in the midst of those 3 years, he was advised to not say anything about it. Obviously, with this happening right before the NFL draft, you don't gotta be a rocket scientist to figure out, not only did he not get selected in the first or second round, he went undrafted. Nobody was going to touch this guy, not even with a 10-foot pole. I want you to think about how crazy this is. Since he didn't get drafted, and that's what he was going to do as a career, he now couldn't get a job because with this assault case going on, nobody wanted to hire him either. He did work at a couple different places, like some warehouses and stuff like that, but man, oh man, that's just straight up sad. There's nothing wrong with working in a warehouse, but he thought, and everybody thought, he was about to be a multi-millionaire. And this is why, to me, it's one of the saddest stories I've ever covered. Eventually, these jobs of figuring out who he was, do research on him, and they fired him. Here's why I respect and admire Shawn Oakman so much. They offered him a plea deal. Some may say it would have been smart of him to take that, but he knew he was innocent, so he didn't. I agree with him 10,000%. Taking the plea deal is admitting defeat. Here's where things get interesting, though. There were then people stating, okay, well, if Shawn Oakman thinks he's innocent and he didn't do this, what was this girl's motivation? And there were a lot of theories floating around. I'll show you this one right here. I showed you in the recent Shawn Oakman video. But one person thought that she was trying to cash in on his career because she was like, oh yeah, he's about to be a top 2 or 3 round pick. I'm going to try to get some of that money. And we see that all the time, right? Say if that is true for the sake of this video, here's her one big flaw with that. It's not smart to come out with these allegations before he gets drafted because you tanked his draft status, which meant he didn't get any money from the NFL. You see what I'm saying? And I like that theory because why else would she come out with these accusations about him a week or 2 before the NFL draft? Eventually, Shawn Oakman would be found not guilty and he was acquitted on all the charges, which was a huge moment for Shawn Oakman and everybody to say the least. But I got to say this before I go any farther. You know what I think should happen to this woman? Number one, if Shawn Oakman was facing, up to 20 years, she should now be taking on that punishment. This false charge she put on him ruined his life. It put it on hold for 3 years. There's not another way to say it. Ruined his life. It affected him in so many ways, not just monetarily. I just don't understand how a woman can come out with this, destroy a man's career, livelihood, life, whatever you want to call it, and she doesn't face any repercussions. And you know who's also the losers in this situation? The women who have gone through stuff like this. I firmly believe that has to be the new punishment because it's too easy for women or anybody in general to say, oh yeah, this person did this, and they don't face any repercussions, like I said. If we want people to stop falsely accusing people, they have to get punished. That's my thoughts on it. You're probably thinking, okay, this is where our story turns around. But just like Lee Corso says, not so fast, my friend. Shawn Oakman, he was facing more problems. After he got acquitted, he was receiving interest from NFL teams, but they didn't want to deal with all the drama and questions that were going to come with bringing in a Shawn Oakman. Here's what he had to say. It's still not over. My life still doesn't change. Being found innocent or not, I should be in the NFL right now. I'm supposed to be an NFL player. I'm seeing guys I was coming out with getting their second contracts. Whether I would have folded in the NFL or not, I would have had a platform for larger things to happen in my life. That's another thing we need to talk about. Yeah, it's great. He's innocent, and it feels awesome in that moment, but he lost those 3 years. He can never get those back, and he lost so many opportunities. One of his first gigs he wound up landing after getting proved innocent was the XFL. That didn't last too long, though, because right after he got drafted, the league wound up shutting down. But what happened early on in 2021 is what I'm going to label as Shawn Oakman's big break. He joined, I guess, what would be the second best league outside the NFL, the CFL, which is the Canadian Football League. The team he signed with was no other than the Toronto Argonauts. And he was great for them. It was an outstanding fit. He was a good player for them, and they loved having him on the team. In 2022, he had another fantastic season, and he won his second CFL East All-Star Award. 2023 was a carbon copy paste, another decent year, but in 2024, he would be released by the Argonauts. Wasn't all too bad, though, because in July 2024, he signed with the Edmonton Elks. Had what I'm going to label as a solid year for there, and in February 2025, which was only a few months ago, he became a free agent. And this is where he signed with the Montreal Alouettes. Is that how you say that? Alouettes? I believe it is. If I'm saying it wrong, correct me in the comment section. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is the newest and new up-to-dates on Mr. Shawn Oakman. I am so happy this story has ended on a good note, and it's not even like, oh, I'm happy he turned his life around. No, there was nothing wrong with it in the first place. He got screwed over. Let's call it for what it is. But I have so much respect for him, not even as a football player, but as a person. The perseverance he had to show during those 3 years, and he still has to show. It doesn't get any better than that, at least in my humble opinion. He's a good guy. I've watched a ton of interviews on him leading up into this video and leading up into the one 3 years ago. He's a well-rounded individual. If you are one of those people who were requesting this video, that's the newest new updates. He's been a really good CFL football player. Many more things I could say. We're going to end off here. I'm curious to know your thoughts down below. But